Coming live from the neighborhood, you are listening to Hapi Hood The Podcast, where we deliver meaningful content to inspire, uplift, and empower. Hey neighbor, it's your favorite neighbor, Jay Murray, lifestyle coach with a passion for helping others embrace self-worth and live a life of fulfillment. Welcome to the neighborhood. It's Hapi Hood The Podcast.
Finish
Message.
What you start.
Let's go. Welcome to Hapi Hood The Podcast. I'm your favorite neighbor, Jay Murray. What's going on, family? Thank you for tapping in, for joining us for a new season, right? A new season. I know it's been a while since we have spent some time here in the neighborhood. I guess you can say I was like catching the rhythm as well as resting, enjoying some summer travel. And now I'm kind of ready to get back in the rhythm, get back into the swing of things as we kick off a new season of Hapi Hood The Podcast, in which this segment here is our Monday leadership segment. This is where we take a moment to focus on building habits, building daily habits in order for us to have a successful tomorrow, because we all know that leadership is not a title, but it's a choice. It's a choice rooted in our daily habits. So again, I want to thank you for joining us. Hey, if you're new to the podcast, new to the channel, hey, thank you for tapping in. Thank you for joining us for Hapi Hood The Podcast. You know, hey, here on the podcast, here on Hapi Hood The Podcast, we believe in three things. We believe in providing and delivering meaningful content that helps you to unlock your potential, your God-given potential, helps you to embrace your self-worth, and helps you to live a life of fulfillment. Live a life fulfillment that reflects godly values, So again, I want to thank you for tapping in. Thank you for joining Hapi Hood The Podcast Monday Leadership. You know, over these past couple of weeks, I've been thinking a lot, right? And maybe it's because last month I celebrated my birthday, 44 years. I know I'm kind of waist deep now in the 40s. At least that's what my wife tells me. And I don't know. I don't know if it's that, or if it's just now that my daughter, sophomore, she's now driving. My son got one more year of elementary, and now he's in middle school. Some of my friends, you know, their kids that I remember since they was in diapers is now starting college. You know, my niece and nephews are getting older. You know, parents getting older. It's just I felt like, and I feel like now that I'm walking into a new chapter, right? And I'm in this transition period, right, where I'm getting new direction. I'm figuring things out, you know, as I said, you know, raising a teenager and my son getting older. So we have moved entirely from the direction of parenting to more of guidance and coaching and a lot of praying, you know, for the kids. So it's a new type of approach, right? And all those things there, as I now reach 5 years of doing the podcast and doing Hapi Hood, I just felt like, hey, I'm in a transition period, and I'm going from one season to the next. And in this transitional period, I'm somewhat in a waiting period, right? I'm somewhat still understanding the direction. I'm still learning, you're right. I'm still, you know, taking it day by day, right? And you may be in a similar season, right? You may be in a season where, hey, you still trying to figure out things. You may be a season that you may felt like, I've been in the waiting season for a while. I feel like I'm losing. I feel like so many people are getting ahead of me. I feel like I've been trying to do everything right, but still I'm not seeing the results in the business. I'm not seeing the results in my kids. I'm not seeing the results in my career, in my marriage. And I just feel like I feel rejected, right? I feel that, you know, every time I try to go for the business loan, every time I try to pitch the business idea, every time I try to go for the career move, I keep getting denied. I keep getting denied. And I want to say today, with all those things, right? Whether it's the uncertainty, whether it is the rejection, whether it is the denied, the waiting period is necessary. The waiting period is necessary because the wait helps us to build our weight. The weight, WAIT, it helps us to build our weight, WEIGHT, in order for us to go to the next season, in order for us to really walk in our God-given purpose, you know. So today I want to talk about the weight and how it helps us to build our weight. And I want to provide some leadership weight using a biblical story. Using a biblical story. Before I do that, hey, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. You already know it helps out with the YouTube algorithm. So go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. And hey, share this. Share this with someone. Share this with someone. So as I said before, I have felt like I'm in a waiting period, a waiting season, right? Where I'm just continuing to figure things out day by day. And as I said, you may feel like everything you have done everything right, but yet you still feeling like I'm losing. I still feel rejected. And I came today to say, hey, maybe it's not rejection. Maybe it's redirection. Maybe it's not being denied. Maybe it's just a little delayed, right? Maybe that's just some more things, more weight that we have to build that is preparing us to handle that next thing, to handle that next season, right? There's some weight that we have to build. There's some muscles that we have to continue to build and stretch in order for us to walk in our purpose as we go to the next season, as we go to the next season. So I want to use this biblical story, familiar story in the Bible. It's a story of Joseph. And it takes place in Genesis 37, all the way to Genesis 50. So definitely go back after you listen to this podcast. Go back and read it, and leave me a comment, or maybe you're familiar with it. Leave me a comment of what or how that story speaks to you, how that story speaks to you. And for me, if you're familiar with the story of Joseph, it's or if you're not, I'll give you a summary. But it's a story about preparation. I believe it's a story about overcoming rejection. It's a story about managing relationships. It's a story about building skills, right? It's a story about understanding that this journey was bigger than you, right? That there was a purpose that God was doing, right? The molding, the shaping, it all had a purpose, right? It all had a purpose in order for you to go to that next season. In order for you to go to that next season. So just to give you a quick summary of Joseph, but as I said before, definitely go read Genesis chapter 37 all the way to chapter 50. But the story pretty much goes like this. Joseph, 17 years old, he's the son of Jacob. If you're familiar with Jacob, Jacob, the son of Isaac, Isaac, the son of Abraham, right? Um, so he is the son of Jacob, and he's pretty much seen as Jacob's favorite, right? He has Jacob even gives him a coat, So his brothers definitely see him as his dad's. He's the favorite out of all of them. And Joseph has a dream. In this dream, Joseph he sees that his family and others are somewhat kind of bowing down to him, right? And he tells his brothers, even his dad, about his dream, and they're like, "Man, what are you talking about? That's not nonsense. We're not gonna be bowing down to you." Pretty much, his brothers get jealous, and that was pretty much the last straw. So his brothers put together a plan to sell him into slavery, into Egypt, right? So he's sold into slavery, into Egypt, and he goes to Egypt. He's in Potiphar's house. You can think of Potiphar as like a commander in Pharaoh's army, and he goes to Potiphar's house. He works in Potiphar's house, and then Potiphar sees that, hey, you're a good worker. He oversees now Potiphar's house. He moves up in rank. Potiphar's wife, however, finds Joseph very attractive, and she tries to shoot her shot at Joseph, but Joseph like, no, no, no. My master Potiphar says, I'm here to oversee, this part of the house, and you're not part of the part that I'm overseeing. So Joseph rejects her. She gets mad, and she, tells a lie that, hey, Joseph assaulted her. Potiphar throws him in jail, so he's in prison. But again, Joseph, through the favor of God, he rises up in ranks in the prison, and he becomes over, the prison, as a prisoner. So while he's in prison, he meets a cupbearer and a baker, in which these two individuals pretty much fall out of grace from Pharaoh. So they're thrown into prison. And while they're in prison, the cupbearer and the baker, they have a dream, and Joseph, they ask Joseph, hey, can you interpret this dream, right? And Joseph's like, hey, yeah, I can interpret. It's not me that that does interpretation, but God, right? So Joseph interprets the dream. He tells me, hey, in 3 days, cupbearer, you're gonna be reestablished to Pharaoh, and baker, sorry, you're gonna die. And everything came to pass. So as a cupbearer, he's leaving. He's now gonna get reestablished into his role. Joseph's like, hey, don't forget about me. Like tell Pharaoh about me. 2 years pass. 2 years pass, and Joseph's still in prison. However, one day Pharaoh he has a dream, and he has a dream that's very troubling. He's trying to understand it. He calls in all his wise counsel. No one can interpret this dream, but the cupbearer he kind of overhears Pharaoh's being kind of confused and frustrated. He said, "Hey, my homeboy Joseph, he when I was in jail, when I was in prison, he interpreted a dream for me." So Pharaoh said, hey, call him up. So Joseph get cleaned up. He goes to Pharaoh. He interprets Pharaoh's dream, and in which pretty much Pharaoh dream is like, hey, 7 years you're gonna have prosperity, and then that's gonna be followed by 7 years of famine. And oh, by the way, here's how you should strategize, to overcome that famine. Here's what you can do. So pretty much Joseph gave him a plan, right? And Pharaoh's like, hey, well, shoot, since you know this, and you have the favor of God, like, why don't you be over it? And immediately Joseph now becomes second in command all over Egypt, right? He's second in command. And the story moves on, as Joseph, everything came to pass as Joseph had interpreted. They have the 7 years of prosperity, followed by 7 years of famine. And again, it's severe famine. So Joseph's family returns or goes to Egypt looking for food. Joseph, again, he sees his family. He reunites with his family, reunites with his father. Somewhat of the end, but I'm gonna stop there. But as you can see, it's so much that you can glean from the story. But definitely go back and read Genesis 37 to 50. But as I think about the story, and as I was kind of giving you some of a high level bullet points, as you can see, Joseph started out, he has his dream at 17. He doesn't become second in command over the entire food supply until he's in his 30s, until he's 30 years old. So you're talking about a 13-year span, a 13-year journey of having to go through a waiting period, of having to go through these trials and tribulations, having to come into Potiphar's house. You oversee Potiphar's house. You get falsely accused. You get thrown into prison. You rise up in rank in prison. You help out people in prison. 2 years pass. They don't. If you may have felt, man, they don't forgot about me, but somehow they seek out your skills. They seek out your skills. They call you up. You provide your interpretation, and boom, you're now over the food supply of the whole land. You're over the food supply of the whole land. So as you can see, the weight, WIT, helped to build Joseph Weight, WEIGHT, to help him get prepared to now be second in command in all of Egypt, to be now over all the food supply. How did you go from here to there, right? There was some leadership weights, right? There were some moments of building the necessary weight that helped him get to where he was. Helped him to get to where he was as the second in command. Help him to get him to that second in command. Okay. And what I want to do is provide three leadership weights that I believe that stood out, right? Stood out to me, and that I think we can apply it to our leadership walk, right? That we can understand what are the habits that we need to do within each of these weights. The first leadership weight that I see in this story is character weight. Character weight. Your character weight. It is the weight of who are you when no one's around? Who are you when no one's around? The character weight, when you think about, and just taking a moment, just thinking about storms and thinking about there's certain things in life that you're only able to build character from, right? Because it's the turmoil, it's the difficulty, it's the challenge, it's the opposition, right? It's all those things that help you build the character of grit, help you build the character of patience, help you build the character of joy, help you build the character of love, kindness, help you build the character of empathy, right? There's only certain things, certain character traits only can be built through challenging times, through challenging times. And here you have Joseph, as I said before, he goes into Potiphar's house. He works in Potiphar's house, in which, again, he is first of all sold into slavery, into Egypt. So again, I can understand if there was some resentment, some bitterness, feeling very rejected, that his family betrayed him in this way. But yet he gets to Potiphar's house and he works in Potiphar's house. He works so well that he's now oversees Potiphar's house. And that right there let me know that the character weight is simply not compromising your character. No matter how difficult it may get, no matter how challenging it may seem, you're never compromising your character, right? That you're going to continue to show up, even though you may mess up. There was a time in my career where I was like my second leadership role. And it was a very challenging leadership role. It was one of those stretch roles um, where it took a lot of development, right? It's one of those developmental roles. And it's so funny because I prayed for it. I was like, yeah, I want to get it. I want to get it. And when I got it, if you pray for something and then as soon as you're in it or as soon as you receive it, you're like, oh, this ain't what I expected. I don't want this, right? I don't want this. Because it was so challenging. It was so challenging. At that time, I was a great, would you call, like, tier one type of leader. I can motivate people, I can inspire people, I can set a vision, I can drive a vision. However, there was areas in my leadership that I was weak in. I was weak in setting clear expectation and managing people to that expectation. I was weak in managing process, managing risk, right? Setting priorities, understanding trade-offs, influencing others, right? Overcoming oppositions. And as I got into that role, oh, I hate it so much. I hate it so much. I messed up a lot. Like, like there was times I felt like a failure. And again, when I go back to the story, Joseph, I can only think that he felt like a failure. He felt rejected. There was moments where I felt embarrassed, right? I felt embarrassed, but I'm so glad I went through that because it helped me to develop my character around perseverance. It helped me to develop my character around grit. It helped me to develop my character around patience. That I didn't allow those challenges, right? I didn't give in, right? I kept going, I kept showing up. And here Joseph is in Potiphar's house. His wife tries to get at Joseph, and Joseph takes that stand, right? He said, I got too much integrity, right? And that's what, when you think about the character weight and how seasons of weight help us build our weight, it's not compromising our character, right? It's not compromising our character. It's staying in it and allowing that season to build whatever character trait that you're building, right? You may be building patience. You may be building perseverance. You may be building grit. And it's continue to go through that fire, right? It's continue to show up. The habit that we can develop as in the character weight is simply standing on our character, standing on our values. No matter how difficult, no matter how challenging, right? Yes, sometimes you may feel bitter, you may feel rejected, you may feel denied. But again, that rejection could be a redirection. That deny it's just simply a delay, right? That patience, the grit, that character weight, right? That character weight. Who are you when no one's watching, right? In those dark moments, allow that weight to build your character. Allow that weight to build your character, that you don't compromise it. You don't compromise your character. You stand on your character and you just you continue to show up. You continue to show up in those moments as you continue to build on your patience, continue to build on the grit, continue to build on your confidence, right? It's building you up, right? It's building you up. Character weight. The second weight that I believe is really shown in the story of Joseph is competency weight. Competency weight. Skills. Skills. Right. We think about the story of Joseph. Joseph he's sold into slavery, into Egypt. He's in Potiphar's house. He rises up in the ranks in Potiphar's house. Now he oversees the entire house. Something happens, right, out of his control. Also accused, he goes to prison, rise up in the ranks of prison. From there, he's in Pharaoh's house, right? I can only imagine each of those stops from Pharaoh's, from Potiphar's house to prison to Pharaoh's. Each of those stops, the skills he had to learn, right? I feel like Joseph embodied Monday leadership. Like Joseph said, you know what? Leadership is not a title, but a choice. So you know what? I'm gonna come in Pharaoh's house. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna work. I don't care how small the assignment is. I'm gonna get work. I'm gonna have a spirit of excellence in my work, right? I don't care how small it is. I'm gonna continue to develop. You come in Potiphar's house, you now oversees Potiphar's house, move to prison. And again, in prison, I can only imagine all the different personalities in prison, all the different situations, problems you had to solve, all the different things that you had to deal with. And one thing I believe that really helped him, that I imagine that he really learned how to listen to people, how to listen to people, how to understand their problem, how to be a problem solver, right? He listened to different prisoners and listened to what they was dealing with, showed empathy. Because think about it, he now years later moved into second in command under Pharaoh, and he's over the entire food supply. And as I said before, everyone from across the land is coming to him. So I can only imagine him listening to people, trying to figure out their problem, trying to solve their problem. Those skills kept developing throughout those stops to where it helped him now to be successful in managing the food supply, managing people. How do you interact with prisoners, right? Able to interact with prisoners as well as able to interact with people in Pharaoh's council, right? Understanding how to manage people, understanding how to set clear expectations, understanding no matter how small the task is, I'm gonna do it with a spirit of excellence. And that's what the weight helps us build. The WAIT helps us build the WEIGHT, the weight. And one way that it helps you to build is that competency weight, skills, right? The skills. I tell people, some of my mentees, right? Especially those that, come into corporate America, they want to move up quickly. They want to climb the corporate ladder quickly, right? They want to get to the C-suite. They want to get to the senior role. They want to get to department head role. And I tell them, I understand the aspirations, right? But one thing I want you to be mindful of and remember that don't just go for the titles. Go for the experience. Go for the roles that are going to help you to develop the necessary skills that is going to be required for you when you go to those senior roles. That's going to help you in the long run. That's going to be transferable, right? That's going to be very transferable in no matter what the role is. That's what you want to go after. Don't always look for the microwave quick fix, the life hacks, this hack, this hack. There's certain things that only can be learned in the crock pot while you're simmering, while you're mastering these skills. That's only things that can be learned in that, right? So no matter the small task, no matter what the situation is, learn, be a sponge, right? That's the habit, right? The habit is no matter how small the task is, that you're going to give everything. You're going to treat every opportunity the same. You're going to serve with excellence. You're going to do it through a spirit of excellence, right? Because you're developing. God is preparing you for something bigger. And these skills are necessary for you to develop. They're necessary for you to gain because you will be utilizing them in the next season. You'll be utilizing them in the next season. It's the competency weight. The competency weight, the skills. To my athletes, I tell my daughter this: don't wait till the season start and then you want to start working out. Work out now. In the waiting period. Work out now. Start working out now. Don't wait till the season started. You now want to get in shape, that you now want to start working out, that you now want to start lifting weights. Work out now. Start working out now in the waiting season while you wait. Because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're going to move up from third string to second string to first string, right? Because you put in the work. You put in the work, in the weight. You put in the work, competency weight, competency weight. All right. The last weight that I believe is we can learn and really develop the habits um, of this weight is the connection weight. The connection weight, I see it in two ways, right? And the connection weight, the essence, or the common theme is about relationships. It's the horizontal relationships and it's the vertical relationship, right? The horizontal relationship, let me start there. I can only imagine Joseph throughout this whole process connecting with people. I mean, come on, he moves, he's sold into slavery into Egypt. You go into Potiphar's house. I can only imagine him connecting with people. Hey, Joseph, since you so good with people, man, hey, how about you oversee the entire house? You well spoken, you treat everyone with kindness. Would you oversee the whole house? Goes to prison. Hey, Joseph, I see you man, you do a wonderful job connecting with people. People, it seems like people always want to work for you. Would you oversee the whole prison? He's in prison. He connects with the cupbearer. He connects with the cupbearer. 2 years pass. The cupbearer, hey, I remember my homeboy Joseph. I remember what he did. I remember those skills, the competency weights that he displayed. The relationships helps you to elevate into your purpose. It elevates your purpose. Now the cupbearer tells Pharaoh, go. Hey, we need to talk to Joseph. It was based on the connection that Joseph developed in the weight. It was those connection that Joseph developed that now his skills is sought out, right? Now people are looking for him because of the connection, right? He's now having that connection where now Pharaoh is like, yo, Joseph, come. And he continues to build the connection. He continues to build that connection. That's the horizontal relationship. We're thinking about the vertical relationship. I believe the connection weight is understanding that it's bigger than me, right? Understanding that as you have moments to reflect, right? You understand that, you know what, throughout this whole process, God was ordering my steps, right? It's a level of maturity that you come in with your walk with God. And Joseph said something in chapter 50, Genesis 50, verse 20, that really stood out to me, that really took, really, showed me this connection. So during this time, Jacob had already died, and Joseph's family, his brothers and their wives, like, man, I hope he don't have revenge on us now that our father is died, that he pushes out the land. And Joseph tells him this. He said, hey, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what has now been done, the saving of many lives. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what has now been done, the saving of many lives. There was a purpose in this. That's what Joseph was saying. There was a godly purpose in this journey to get me to where I'm at today, right? It was a purpose, right? And the habit of this in the vertical relationship, it's simply sometimes just a prayer. Say, hey, God, use me for your glory. God, let your will be done through me, right? It's understanding that, God, hey, the business, the homes, the marriage, the kids, the job, they not mine. They yours, right? So let me steward what you have given us. Let me steward what you gave me, right? Because it's not mine. It's connecting to the bigger purpose, right? And in that that vertical relationship, once you have that alignment brings assignment. That alignment brings assignment. And now the assignment, the connection that you build, the horizontal relationships become even more purposeful, right? Is that you don't just overlook those relationships, right? One practical habit in this can be, hey, every month, it can be someone like, let me reconnect with them. Let me just reach out to them and seeing how they're doing, right? Let me connect with that senior manager. Let me connect with that direct report, that I used to, that reported to me, right? That's now working in this. Let me reach out um, to that business owner. Let me reach out to that other business owner. Let me reach out to the influencer. Let me build that connection. Let me build that connection, right, with people. That's what it's about. As you align, your alignment brings your assignment. So now you're able to become more purposeful in your day to day because that connection weight, the weight helps you to build that connection weight of understanding that throughout this journey, it's so much bigger than me. It's so much bigger than me, right? There's a purpose in this day. There's a purpose that God closed that door, right? And as you get older, you start to thank God for that them doors closed. Man, I thank God I didn't get that job. I thank God that business deal didn't go through. I thank God I ain't married that person. You know what I'm saying? You thank God for the doors being closed, right? Because that was a purpose. It wasn't part of your assignment, right? And that connection weight helps you to understand it's so much bigger than me. It's so much bigger than me. It's so much bigger than me, right? It's so much bigger than me. So as we take a step back again, we look at the journey of Joseph, where he started and where he ended. Age 17, he's sold into slavery. He doesn't become second in command until the age of 30. 13 years of development, 13 years of building the character, 13 years of not compromising his character, right? 13 years of building that character weight, 13 years of building that competency weight, those skills that was necessary as he moved from destination to destination, right? As he moved throughout his journey, that competency way. And then the connection way of him meeting people, connecting with people. That connection helps him to get into Pharaoh's house. And then the understanding that the connection weight, that my connection with God, that it was so much bigger than me. That it was a purpose through all of this. It was a purpose for me to go through those moments of feeling rejected because it was a redirection. It was a purpose for me going through those moments of feeling denied because it was just simply delayed. It was purposeful for me to go through those moments of uncertainty to certainty and having the clarity to trust God throughout that whole process, throughout the process. It was a purpose in those. That's the connection weight. And as we think about these three leadership weights, and the habits that we can do, we can continue to do throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. It helps us to understand that leadership is not a title, it's a choice. It's a choice that we make, not to compromise our character, to treat every task with a spirit of excellence, and to make sure that we always stay connected with God. Our alignment brings our assignment. It brings the horizontal relationships. And through it all, we'll be able to walk more purposefully in our leadership journey. Till next time, family, love God, love yourself, love your neighbor. I'm your favorite neighbor, Jay Murray. Be blessed.